Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and welcome to our last presentation of research project, which we were working this out for a couple weeks. Our title called Teachers Challenge in Blended Learning, and we have been looking for our own data for this presentation. And we also make a little changes to the subject if that's all right. So in this presentation, we are elicit out data and show it to you guys. It is a couple of our own paper. Before we start our presentation, let me introduce my group. I'm Rafli as the moderator and the first speaker. FATWA is the second speaker, and finally MILDA is the last speaker and also moderator for the rest of the presentation. Without further ado, let's start this presentation. As you can see, I will explain about the abstract and introductions and some findings. Milda will presenting some of the findings and discussion, also the conclusion of this presentation. So, okay, abstract. This study aims to examine the analysis of the application of mixed learning in elementary schools as an educational transition in the new normal era. Further, this research has also includes the perspective of teachers, difficulties arising from the application of blended learning, and the tools used as support application of mixed learning. The sample in this study were educators in elementary schools in Depok, Jakarta, which most of them are using blended learning system. The study uses a qualitative approach by using semi-structured interview for knowing the teacher's perspective, and the challenges being faced. The results of the study show that blended learning provides more optimal learning during the pandemic, one of which is an increase in subjects. The difficulties experienced related infrastructure, lack of teacher competence in technology, while smartphones and learning management systems are tools and digital platforms that are most widely chosen and used to support blended implementation learning. Okay, the next one is introduction. The human is associated with innovations and inventions, which generally are viewed as technological developments and have impacted on all aspects of human life. In education and training, such an innovation can be viewed in the form of blended learning, which embraces online or e-learning along with teaching or instruction in the traditional classroom. The COVID-19 pandemic that has lasted for the past 2 years until now causes education in almost all parts of the world to experience obstacles. One of the obstacles that occur is the discontinuation of face-to-face learning and the implementation of distance. Many countries, including Indonesia, have adopted regulations that prohibit all educational processes for students and students who are unable to complete the educational process in educational institution. There are previous studies that have examined the application of blended learning. Some research are successfully pushed blended learning as students' learning motivation and positive effect on students' achievement, including researches conducted by Abroto et al., Widyasari and Rafsanjani, Raviola et al., Picciano, and Seaman. Research agrees that the success of blended learning can largely depend on students as well as teachers gaining confidence and capability to participate in blended learning. Noted that learners' computer literacy, and time management are crucial in distance learning contexts, and concluded that such factors are meaningful in online classes. It was also noted that a common factor in failure and learner dropout is the time conflict, which compounded by issues of family, employment status, as well as management support. Although no educational technique is without flaws, the advantages acquired by mixing face-to-face and online modes in a blended class are appealing. Blended learning courses that are well designed can lead to increased higher order learning and improved student results, which benefits students, educators, and institutions. The teacher pedagogical practices were mainly characterized by their domination of class activities, not the integration of ICTs, despite the availability of ICTs and other teaching sites. The in-service teachers indicated that their priority was to help students focus on the goal examination rather than the process. While there are several benefits of on-campus classes, one cannot ignore how rapidly universities from kindergarten to 12 school and other institutions of higher education transition to online learning in order to continue instruction during COVID-19 crisis. Flexibility, ability to work at your own time and pace, engaging learning experience, self-directed learning, cost effectiveness, and ability to produce in depth discussions are some of the most widely cited benefits of online learning. Efforts have also been made to include flipped classroom approaches so students can engage in active learning and instructors assume the role of facilitator and provide additional help and scaffolding. Judging from the 20 studies, there are few studies centered on teachers' challenge towards the application of blended learning. Therefore, this study aims to encounter teachers' challenges, determine the implementation of blended learning after COVID-19 crisis has been decreased and engaging the uses of computer and internet application in elementary school are still mainly equipped after the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, that's all for me. Uh, I guess I will give the moderator role to Milda. For the next speaker, Fatwa, time is yours.
Okay, thanks to the moderator. Now, the material is about methods. It was a qualitative study that focused on to elicit the views of elementary school teachers and students on current practices and issues of blended learning in elementary education. Its nature was elaborative and more descriptive and addressed the phenomenon in an explanatory way. In other words, it was a non-experimental research, and non-experimental research is used in studies which aim at describing or description of individuals or situation. uh, this study This study was delimited to the academician from social sciences class at the elementary school in Indonesia. Elementary academician from the class of social sciences were the only population of this study. And last, it was a qualitative survey carried out for eliciting opinions of the respondents learning. One interview scheduled to be used as research tool was prepared after literature review and in the light of nature and research question of the study. Experts' opinion helped researchers in finalizing the tools. Two main research questions were in three areas. For example, platform and application that been used in blended learning in manage the purpose and its issues and problems in elementary education. Next slide. Uh, for the next is findings and discussion. For the first, activities and practices of blended learning in elementary school, how elementary academicians and students use it. The respondent affirmed that they use their provide elementary learning management system, cloud meetings or group chat on and other related apps to disseminate and receive information and learning materials. There are also tools and external media that they use to support blended learning activities, such as cell phone or laptop, speaker, projector, textbook, and miscellaneous tools. The respondent appeared to be aware of the concept of blended learning and said that they were using it as in traditional classroom. The academician explained that due to the fact that the system is the system that the schools been chosen and it is integrated into schools financial system and students payment. Besides, it's also had various features. The academician mentioned their aspect that had to consider to support our blended learning process. We require learning media or device. Human resources that has taken the technologies, parent control, adequate lesson planning, and strong signal of internet connection. For the second, internal and external challenges of blended learning in elementary school. It is generally believed that one may face problems in embracing innovation and invention and adopting blended learning as an innovation in instruction. One also faces problems. The respondent unanimously described their problems that they face in embracing blended learning. They were of the view that in embracing blended learning, they face problems related to technology, tools error, student behavioral management, parents overcoming support, lack of expertise, and diversify learning styles in the same class. They also raise voice about internet and its connectivity. The academician described availability of technology is a main issue for us. Technology, constraint of blackouts, and full internet service also cause problems. An error of website and application sometimes happen when the servers are overloaded and students are not able to receive information and learning materials. We face issues in meeting the student by not attending the schedule they had to present to. Sometimes they have lack of response and focus on the lecture due to the inadequate audio whether student or speakers. Maybe that's all for me. Thank you. Back to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatwa Muhammad Faiz, as the second speaker. Now is the third speaker. It's delivered by me. Next slide, please. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Um, the third is assessments and motivation to lead blended learning in elementary school. The researchers assured that respondents about secrecy of their assessments and motivation to reconstruct their students' learning result in blended learning. The respondents affirmed the assessment in assessment. Teachers take assessment technique in such making students project whether it is individually or as a group. The students are more likely to make an assignment for the teacher and take the assessment for their active behavior in classroom and measuring their confidence and effective communication. Teachers had to make an experiment to their students regarding of their capable of in making different style of teaching. The teacher had to give students a different experience of teaching, which could estimate which learning styles that they can follow effectively. In assessments of discussion and presentation, the teachers must make unusual learning and technique activities to let students receive information or lesson materials. The teachers assess their students from follow up the previous studies and regain their lesson to the next meetings. The teachers also assess their students by giving an exercise or daily quizzes. Quizzes and exercise can be used to motivate people, help them remember content they just covered, and to help assess what they have learned so far. And finally, there are pretest and end of semester assessment or year-end assessment, which is the final assessment of our curriculum. It provides the ability to independently measure students' growth throughout this semester or year. Moreover, the respondent mentioned about they give the feedback to students in progress of blended learning. Students answer the question from 6 thinking hats by De Bono about the materials in last subject. It can be used by individuals or groups to move outside habitual ways of thinking, try out different approaches, and then think constructively about how to move forward. Performing a routine interview with the students regularly, teachers are used to that to chat informally with the students individually. But in this interview, they had to ask about the students' personal obstacles or other factors that might blockade their process of blended learning. Filling the questionnaire about etiquette, students' behavior, and their house as the same as the previous point. But difference but the difference is the students are more likely to be asked about their internal behavior when they are learning from home. The academician had their role in motivating the students to lead the blended learning. As a teacher, students have had to embed their discipline. This is because the respondent school in rooted and mostly relatable with religion as it is the essential behavior to have give reward and consequences for students' attitude in the classroom. Students have their childish side when it comes to presence, provide learning methods and teaching materials that has passionate and fun variety. Students are able to achieve their lessons easily when it comes to interesting methods and teaching materials, provide learning media and adequate infrastructure facilities, communicating intentionally with the parents continuously. Parents can help students by motivate their learning process, perform an interview and introduce students continuously outside study hours, motivating students in learning. creating safe situation, comfortable and healthy, performing an approach to students that has problems in learning motivation in the classroom. Building students' motivation in studying the English language is essential for teachers. Students must feel comfortable and enjoyable in the classroom. From the finding of this paper showed that the teacher could use blended learning in English learning teaching process. Using blended learning, it can build the students' motivation in the classroom. Mostly, students use the mobile phone or smartphone in the daily life. Using it, the teachers can use it in the teaching learning process. Next slide, please. Okay, now is the conclusion. First, this study found that the perception of elementary school teachers regarding the application of blended learning in elementary schools is quite optimal. With the application of blended learning, a little more helps learning activities become more effective than online learning that is carried out online throughout. This is evidenced by the increasing value of several subjects. Second, the application of blended learning makes change in learning activities become better. But not a few of the teachers experienced difficulties when implementing blended learning in elementary schools. For example, such as the lack of facilities and infrastructure, the ability of teachers to operate technology, students' conditioning, and so on. The third, the students have minimal skills in today's technology due to inadequate infrastructure. Increasing parental support must also be within reasonable limits because teachers really need to increase learning from students purely. But we can develop issues of internal factors like this. It only takes time to cover this issue. Okay, fourth, the teacher believes that these obstacles can be solved. It is resolved by discussing each other with teachers, principals, and parents of students. Implementation, evaluation, continuous blended learning is very necessary for the formation of better learning in the future, which will come. Smartphones are the most widely chosen and used by blood school teachers as the easiest tool to support the implementation of blended learning. Other than that, the WhatsApp digital platform became the choice of all participants during blended learning. This research is an initial contribution as a literature or description related to the implementation of mixed learning in primary schools and helping researchers others to broaden understanding regarding the application of blended learning. Okay, maybe that's all from me. That's all from our group. Thank you so much for your nice attention. We do apologize if we did any mistakes. Okay. Uh, one more time, thank you so much for your nice attention. The last we say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.